Hello, Dolphins fans. As the Miami Dolphins gear up for the 2025 NFL Draft, the pressure is on, not just because we're less than 3 weeks away from the big night, but because the Dolphins are facing a glaring need on the offensive line. I need to address a very sensitive issue with you now, but first, I want to hear from you. If you were Ross, would you fire Chris Grier before the draft? If so, hit the like button. If not, comment below with your opinion. Either way, write something like this: Grier doesn't deserve to lead the Miami Dolphins. It's no secret, last season's offensive line faltered, and it wasn't just due to injuries or unfortunate matchups. It was a miscalculated bet on familiarity that didn't pay off. The Dolphins now need to get it right, and all eyes are on the number 48 pick. Let's talk about the top 3 names that could realistically be available when Miami is on the clock in the second round: Ohio State's Donovan Jackson, Arizona's Jonah, and Purdue's Marcus Mao. Each brings something different to the table, but the common denominator? They fit into the Dolphins' wide zone offensive scheme with the kind of athleticism and versatility this team desperately needs. Starting with Donovan Jackson. Now here's a guy who has really risen in the draft boards as the process has unfolded. Standing at 6'4", 300 pounds with a monstrous 74-inch wingspan, 95th percentile. By the way, Jackson has experience at both guard and tackle. While he primarily played left guard at Ohio State, he stepped up at left tackle when Josh Simmons went down, proving his versatility. And when you watch his film, it's clear why he's gaining momentum. He's explosive, powerful, and covers ground like a much smaller man. He doesn't just move bodies vertically in the run game. He operates in space, horizontally, and at the second level. Imagine pairing him next to Austin Jackson. That duo could recreate some of the dominant double teams we saw from Rob Hunt and Austin Jackson back in 2023. Remember those? When they were on, they steamrolled defenders. Jackson has that same potential, but he's not perfect. His punch timing and hand placement can be erratic, which can let defenders get into his frame, and his reaction time against delayed pressures or stunts isn't where it needs to be. Thankfully, Miami's quick-trigger offense is designed to mitigate that kind of vulnerability. The system protects interior linemen by limiting how long they need to hold blocks, critical for a player like Jackson. If Jackson is gone by 48, which is entirely possible, then eyes should shift to Jonah. This dude is a mauler. At 6 feet 4 inches and 324 pounds, with nearly 34-inch arms and a blazing 4.95 40-yard dash, he's explosive, powerful, and nasty at the point of attack. His 10-yard split, 1.72 seconds, faster than Tyler Booker's by a full quarter second, and Booker is no slouch. Savaiania's calling card is displacement. He moves defenders off the ball with ease. He's got the kind of physical profile that draws comparisons to guys like Tyler Smith and Ike Mekwonu. At Arizona, he started as a right guard, moved to right tackle, and even logged snaps at left tackle. This is the kind of flexibility Miami covets, especially if someone like Austin Jackson goes down mid-season. He's also a fellow alum of St. Louis High School in Hawaii, just like Tua Tagovailoa, a fun connection for fans tracking player backgrounds. Still, Savaiania isn't without his warts. He's not the quickest laterally and can struggle in pass protection, especially against speed on the edge. His technique isn't always polished, and he's had issues with chemistry when passing off stunts. That said, if he's moved inside to guard, a lot of those concerns get minimized. He's better suited to play in tight quarters where his power and anchor can shine, and he's got just enough explosiveness to be a weapon on the move in this system. And then there's Marcus Mao from Purdue, the wild card. He's lighter at 303 pounds and lacks ideal arm length at just 32 inches, but don't let that fool you. This guy has the lightest feet of the three and offers the most lateral quickness and redirection ability. He's a phone booth brawler. Once he locks on, it's over. He projects best at center but could play guard, and he's got nearly 1,400 snaps of experience across both positions. What makes Mao particularly intriguing is his scheme fit. He's tailor-made for the Dolphins' wide zone system. He can get out on screens, work the second level, and move laterally with ease. But here's the problem: he's also the most concerning. His anchor against power is shaky. He's drawn 17 penalties in the last 3 seasons. And while the athleticism is there, his lack of size and length screams developmental project. When you stack these 3 players against each other, Donovan Jackson feels like the cleanest fit and most pro-ready contributor. Savaiania has the highest ceiling but comes with the greatest variance. Mao is the best athlete, but possibly redundant with players like Liam Eichenberg already on the roster. So what does this all mean for the Dolphins? It means they're in a prime position to add a legitimate difference maker to the offensive line at pick number 48. If Jackson or Sionia are there, either could walk into training camp with a real shot at starting, something Miami has desperately needed at guard for years. But if they swing and miss, or reach for a project like Mao, fans might be left wondering if history is repeating itself. And with the Dolphins having already made moves like letting Kendall Lamb walk and bringing in Larry Borom and James Daniels, it's clear they're serious about shifting this offensive line to be more athletic, more versatile, and more scheme appropriate. The 2025 draft could be the final piece of that puzzle. But what do you think, Dolphins fans? Are you riding with Donovan Jackson's versatility and raw power? Do you prefer Sionia's nasty edge and connection to Tua? Or do you see potential in Mao's footwork and lateral agility? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk trenches. Let's keep diving deeper into these offensive line prospects, because the truth is, if the Dolphins hit on this pick, it could change the entire dynamic of the offense in 2025 and beyond. We've already talked about Donovan Jackson and Jonah Sionia as the most likely day 2 targets with high-end upside, but there's still more to unpack, especially when you start looking at the subtle roster construction choices Miami has made leading into the draft. For example, the decision to let a veteran like Kendall Lamb walk wasn't just a cap move, it was philosophical. Lamb, while a solid pass protector, didn't offer what Miami needs in the run game anymore. He wasn't a scheme fit for the outside zone-heavy approach Mike McDaniel wants to lean into even harder in 2025. Instead, the team signed Larry Borom. He's not as accomplished in pass pro, but he brings positional flexibility and better movement traits in the run game. That's not random. That's targeted. It's the same with James Daniels, who was brought in from Pittsburgh. Daniels has been a rock-solid interior lineman with experience at both center and guard, and he fits the wide zone mold. He's not a mauler, but he's athletic and quick-footed. And when you start projecting the makeup of the 2025 offensive line, it's clear the Dolphins are trying to shift from power to precision, from brute strength to smart, fluid execution in space. That's what makes someone like Marcus Mao a tricky evaluation. Yes, he checks the athleticism box, especially for a wide zone scheme. His ability to move laterally and redirect on a dime is rare, and you could envision him getting out in front of Raheem Mostert or Devon Achane on a toss or screen and absolutely erasing a linebacker. But he's light in the trunk. He lacks anchor against power, and the penalties, 17 in 3 seasons, is a major red flag. If you draft Mao, you're accepting that he's not going to be ready week 1. He might not even be ready in 2025. You're banking on upside, coaching, and development. That's fine if you have the luxury of time, but with Miami in win-now mode, that's a big ask, especially if someone like Jackson or Sionia is still on the board. Now, let's shift for a second to positional flexibility. That's something the Dolphins clearly value. Every one of these 3 prospects has played both guard and tackle at some point. That matters, especially for a team that saw its offensive line depth tested to the max last season. Donovan Jackson has played both guard spots and even started at left tackle in the playoff run for Ohio State. Jonah Sionia has logged serious time at right guard, right tackle, and even left tackle. Mao, while primarily a right tackle the past 2 years, has snaps at guard as well. Why is this important? Because the Dolphins don't just need a starter, they need insurance. Injuries will happen. We saw it last season. You need guys who can step in and not tank your offense. That's why positional versatility is no longer a bonus. It's a requirement. Go Dolphins!